Yo guys, what's going on? Hope you're having a absolutely fantastic day. So today we're gonna get back into the level design series. We're gonna finish the series. So yeah, great stuff. We've got a few videos to go, but I thought it's a good time to start doing the second part right now, because I've got some free time. That's great. Anyways, so last video we talked about researching and planning your map, right? We went into Krita, we drew out like all the lines and all those things, right? Today what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the environmental design, right? We're going to split it up in a few parts. So if you hear me like cut out, it's probably because I just split it up in parts. It's easier to do that instead of one long video. So one cool thing that we need to start with is, well, the biggest thing that we need to start with is high ground control. Where's your high ground? Where's your low ground? Where's your points going to be on your map, right? We've already discussed where your points going to be. Now we need to discuss high ground. That's insanely important when you go around and plan your map. Certain areas, for example, this right here. Now I'm busy just saying this is F11. Oh my word, sorry, that's me moving too fast. This is a work in progress map, and it's Ukraine. It's based on Ukraine map, so it is very flat, but I did try to make little dents and little divots in the terrain to bring that high ground low ground into play. Now to increase your screen like this, all you have to do is press F11 to increase the screen size. So that is pretty cool. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got a little valley, and we've got a high ground on this side and high ground on this side. Now as we can see, we've got a point in front of us and we've got another point over there. What that means is this valley is very important because we've got a road traveling down there, and whoever has fire control over the valley controls the point. And that's what you want to start thinking about, fire control over certain roads, high ground control, and start doing those type of things. The way you do increase the height, it's pretty simple. You just go Control T. If you watch my level design video, or not level design, but my how to create a map in Armor Forger video, you'll pretty much know what all these sculpting, flattening and smoothing of the terrain does. If you do not know, I'd recommend you go and check that out first before you come in here. This is a bit more advanced for the advanced level, because we're now talking about planning out the terrain and so on and so forth. So yeah, okay, so what we want to do is we want to press 1, go into the sculpting brush, and just increase the sides here. Yeah, just increase the sides, increase these sides, and now you'll see that we've got this high ground on this side. And what also nice things that you can do, you need to try and think out of the box, right? If you were wanting to have fire control over this area, what would you do? You place down trenches, okay? So you place down trenches on this area, and now whoever controls this road controls the point. I think I've said that way too many times. Sorry, dudes. And then another thing, transitions, right? Smooth transitions. What I mean with that is, other than mountains, you'll have some smooth transitions. You won't have, all of a sudden a flat terrain and then a hole, right? You got to think, unless it's a quarry, like over here, it's a flat terrain and there won't be like holes. So you've got to think, okay, smooth transition. So I'm just using this smooth brush to smooth it out again. Okay, but what would you have on a very flat open terrain? You'll have bumps, dips, slight dips. You'll well, I still have to see a piece of land that is perfectly flat. Like I can place one of those things with the little water measure and it would be entirely flat. So what will you have? You'll have these little dips. So use the sculpt brush, just make a few dips and ditches and so on and so forth. This makes it easy for, also this makes it nice for tanks and armor and vehicles to, oh my word, to travel on this field without being spotted miles and miles away. Unless you're on high ground, then you would be spotted. So like these little things. So that's also pretty cool. So just go over, do a little bit of sculpting. You can increase the brush size as well. That's what I've done. Increase the brush size just a little bit over here. Decrease it over here. Hold down Alt and decrease the size just a little bit. And so on and so forth. Just to give, also to give players, let's say you're a player and you walk, I don't know, somewhere over here and you want to, or somewhere over here and you want to cross this field. This gives you the opportunity to cross this field without being spotted all the way over here. Okay, so just think about those type of things when you start sculpting your terrain. And then just flattening areas. Flattening areas is pretty simple and easy. You just use the flattening brush and you start flattening certain areas like buildings, where you want to place buildings, where you want to place roads, where you want to place what else? Yeah, basically buildings, roads, and so on and so forth. And yeah, another cool thing, and that is very much overlooked when you are within in a game in Arma, is terrain, what's it called, a deformation inside of a forest. Now I'm going to take you over here. I'm going to press V, select one of these dots, and press H to hide this. Now what you'll see here is I've gone a little bit and I've gone to sculpt certain ditches and certain like dents in the terrain to give it more of a natural feel. If you go and take a walk in any forest, you'll see that it's messy. It's got a lot of bumps, hills, ditches, you know, rocks and stuff. And it's never, ever, 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 ever flat. Never. I haven't walked in a forest that's flat. So do this and you'll increase the immersion immediately. Just by doing this, increases immersion. Because now, if you're having a forest battle, if I control H to unhide this, you'll see that it's got that extra bit of immersion, because there's ditches, hills, you can hide behind hills, you can hide behind trees, obviously. But yeah, that is definitely one thing that you need to take into account when making your map, right? And also, you know, debris like this is also fantastic. To add more debris and bushes and stuff, what you could do is you could, now I'm going to press P to, oh, awesome. That brings me quickly to another thing. So if you're on something, if you ever are on something and you don't know where to find it, select it and press P for Papa. Bam. It takes you straight there, easy peasy, and you're in industrial, and you can select containers and all and so on and so forth. So press P and it takes you straight there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. A little tip that helped me out a lot. So what I was trying to say is, if you want to increase the density of this forest, select one of these, right? I'm going to press F11 to bring back the hierarchy. Okay, when I select this point, what you want to do is open up the point, and you'll see that I've got 2 in here already. So I've got birchwood, and I've got pine. Now, if you want to increase the debris, you go to generators. So you'll have to find generators in the Armorer Forger, prefab library, generators. Easy way to, you know, like it and favorite it so that it's easy to select, like here. All you do is just select it. Just select this little star. Okay, you just need to be in generators and select the star, and then it's favorited. Now you can easily select it. And you want to go to, let's say, bushlands. Okay, bushlands, and we're going to place this pioneer one somewhere in here. Now this might crash. Could possibly crash. Okay, no, it didn't. Okay, now you'll see that all yeah, okay, we've got a lot more density in this forest. And the cool thing now is, in real life, you'll find that forests are very, very dense. And if these are not the trees that you would like, select, go to object properties, scroll down, right? And there we go. Go to these ones. And here, if you open up the clusters and go to objects and open any of these, really, you can even open up stones and replace the stones with, you know, your objects or your trees that you, either custom trees that you've made in Blender or trees that you have in Armor. I'll just quickly show you how to do that. So what you want to do is press on these two buttons, to these two dots, and here you'll have the options of going into, just make sure it's vegetation, prefab library, vegetation, bushes, and here you can change the bush, the types of bushes that you want in here to any types that you would like. So that's pretty cool. And you can change the entire thing. Just when you change it, just make sure that you go up here and regenerate entire forest. This will regenerate the entire forest with your custom generator that you just made. So that is pretty cool. I might keep it. I might keep it like that. Actually, it's pretty cool. It's nice and dense. All right. All right. And now, okay, moving on to the little next part. Sorry for the little cut. We are still on the same map. So what we're going to talk about now is riverbeds. Quickly, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. What we want to do, what we want to take into account when we do riverbeds is the blending of the riverbed. So when two rivers meet each other, you want to blend this part, make it look natural. And when it goes underneath the roads, you want to make this part also look decently natural with, you know, these little holes in the ground. What you can also do is, instead of these holes, what you can do is, let me take you over here. Grab these pipes, press P for Papa, and that would take you straight to the asset. And grab these large ones. Okay, that's what we need. So that is a cool little tip that I've learned a bit ago. So drag these ones, pop them in here, and these can also be like, you know, exit stuff. So that can also be pretty cool, you know. And then place some rocks around here, some foliage around there. The type of foliage that would grow in these areas would be these types. I'll just take you over there because it's much easier to do this. So what you'll have is you'll have these types of foliage. So this type, I'm pressing P again to take me straight there. You'll have these plant looking things, these things, and of course you'll have these right here. Okay, so these are the type of 3 ones that I personally would use around watery areas. And obviously rocks, depending on how they are and where they are, they've got some moss on them. some more moss on there, depending where they are again. So let's take you again back over here. So if you don't want to go around and place these individually, like let's say for example like so, we'll place them here, angle it a little bit. A cool little trick for when you want to angle things according to the model instead of the world, just press X. Okay, so let me demonstrate it up here. When we press X, we move it as on the world axis, so back, front, these axes. This is how you will move it according to the world. If you press X, you'll see that if we rotate it like this, you'll see that it's rotated. The gimbal is rotated. Now you'll move it with the model. The way that you can tell this is if you look up here, you'll see this little cube. If you press that, you'll see that the gimbal changes. So that is pretty cool when you want to, you know, place things and not struggle. So let's place it on here. And if you don't want to like do this and angle it like so, and manually place things. I'd recommend placing some things manually just to make it look, you know, natural, and then other places to make it quick, because obviously we are not devs, we don't have a lot of people working on the same project. I would excuse me, I would recommend using this object brush. Now I've covered the object brush previously. I'll just quickly recover it. What we've got here is we've got the radius, the strength, the amount of objects you've selected to be placed that are placed in the circle that is controlled by the strength, and then obviously the objects. Now the way that you add objects is you click the plus button, you'll see a prefab pop up. You won't have anything in the prefab. The way you select the prefab is selecting these two dots, right? And then you go down to vegetation, prefabs, vegetation, and then you can select like bushes, plants, trees, vegetables. You can even go down to rocks, which is also pretty cool. So you can select certain rocks and select, you know, yeah, so you can set certain rock clusters and so on and so forth. So I've got my one selected. Like I said, I've got these two, and all you have to do is just drag, you know, just drag. Now it looks all over the show. It is all over the show because I've got the, you know, the strength turned up all the way. But this is an easy way. If you've got the strength turned down, I'd say maybe with 50 or 100 for me, this would be an easy way to just populate this, what's it called? This riverbed. Very easy way to populate the riverbed. And guys, please remember, if you are stuck, if you are at all questioning what does a riverbed look like, go and check out real life, you know, examples. Or, I mean, you know, Arma, these devs, they did an absolutely fantastic job at this world. Really, they did. I mean, kudos to those guys. Absolute geniuses. But, like, the level designers were on something. I want to be on the same stuff that they are on. So, just go on to Eden, Armor Forger Worlds, Eden. Get on the Arland, or what's the other one called? Eden, not Eden. Can't remember what it's called. But the other one, it slipped my mind. And go and look at how they make lakes. Okay, cool. We've got some lakes here, and how they blend certain textures. So we've got, you know, after a while you can easily recognize a texture. And you can see, okay, this is forest deciduous 2, and this is grass 3 or something like that. I don't know. And you can see, okay, they're blending it nicely. And how are they blending the bushes as well? Okay, so we can see here they've got a nice cluster. So this was probably a generator. And okay, now we can see here as well, we've got 3 different types of textures. So we can see how they blend that. So go check out how they're blending things, how they are using the environment. We can also try and find there we go. You see what I said about the blending? So we've got a river, a flowing river coming into a lake, and somewhere in here you'll see, if this rock wasn't here, there we go. They did it actually pretty good. Here it is. There it is. So you'll have like a line there. They lined it up pretty well. But yeah, so that is pretty cool. So yeah, go in here, check it out. Okay, they've got these ones as well. These are pretty cool. So press P, try and find those. If you don't know where they are, try and find them. Eroded embankments. And so on and so forth. So you can follow this up as well. If you're trying to make an open field, okay, cool. So now you can see, okay, they've got a few bushes on the side, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think I've spoken too much. So let's go back to this one right here. And next up, what we want to talk about is valleys. And, you know, funnel points, ambush points, and so on and so forth. That it's important to, you know, keep your map realistic, but also provide a playable, you know, enjoyable map by providing players with ambush points. So what I would do personally is I would maybe place a trench down here. I mean, we've got a funnel point right here, and we've got a trench. So whoever holds this trench has control of the road, which leads to a point, right? Another funnel point would be literally this valley. Whoever controls this high ground, and yeah, it would be this high ground right here. Whoever controls this high ground has control over this entire valley, and then this point, and of course this point. So it's important to take that into account and put that into your map, so that, you know, you've always got those players that think out of the box. So that is about it for, you know, riverbeds, valleys, ambush points, and those type of things. And then we've spoken about, you know, blending. You know, we looked at it on Everon. There we go. That's the name. We looked at it on Everon, how they blend certain textures with certain with other textures to make it look, you know, natural. And then lastly, what I would say is hold on, I'm just quickly looking through my notes. So yeah, alternate routes, of course. So one thing I would say is, if you've got let's say we've got a massive bridge, right? A massive bridge stretching over, or even this right here. I would say, don't make this the only route into this point. Have alternative routes into this point, so that this gives the player the opportunity to do a flank or change up the game, so that it isn't, you know, once someone gets into this trench, he can hold this as long as he wants, you know. Give the player the opportunity to do flanks and think out of the box tactically. And then just a few last tips that I would personally give to you guys is, if a player is not going to be playing, if there's not any, you know, activity that will be, let's say for example in this area, because this is definitely not an area that is being played in, don't spend too much time on it, right? Try and allocate time to the places where players will be, right? If players are going to be in this area, spend a lot of time on it, try and make it as detailed as possible, and so on and so forth. But if it's not being played, populate it, but do not spend an do not spend a ridiculous amount of time on it. That's what I would say. And yeah, so that is about, I think that's about what I would say. Don't spend too much time on places that are not going to be used. So yeah, okay, fantastic. I've covered everything in my notes. Success. So thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. I know it's a long one. There were quite a few good tips in here, and I hope that you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. Thank you so much for all the support, all my Patreons. I love you guys, and all my subscribers and, you know, viewers. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys rock it. If you would like to support me, you can either buy me a coffee, which keeps me going. I mean, coffee is literally part of me. Or you can check out my Patreon. I've got a few tiers on there. You can check it out, and if you like something, give it a try. But yeah, anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment if you've got any questions, and definitely join the Discord. We're almost at 900 people, so get that number up there. We've got a lot of knowledge on there and a lot of experienced guys, and it's a great community to grow and learn. Anyways, stay safe, love you guys, and thank you so much for the support, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.